Hi, Ollie. Try to get through this quick as possible since my water is behind my phone now. So, starting off, I don't know how I felt about this, whether I think the rituals part, talking about funeral rituals, kind of like just, a little too soon. But I did like it. I thought it was very, very good. Also, here's my now well-loved or personalized book. I can't be around it too long because it smells like pistachios and vanilla and caramel, and it has a very strong smell to it. So, turn to the pages where it marks. Then there goes my phone. I don't have my camera with me, so we'll get through this together. So, starting off with the ritual, where they're talking about, or then Genpei, this dude is talking about their rites of passage. And I mean, it's really straightforward to me. That makes sense. Their rites of passage. We do rituals every day. And reading in the Bell book, where it's talking about everyday life performance, and even through this, it brings me back to like the 2060 stuff, where it's like, what is the rituals you do every day? What is what you do? And in performance class, especially in Sasha, we did rituals every time we did performance. Or every time we did performance. Every time we went to a class, we had like these cute little books. I think I still have mine. I still have my little book where we wrote down how we felt every morning. I still have the keychain of autoethnography stuff. She did little tags where we wrote down how we were feeling every time we came into the space there. And how it's talking about rituals are the threshold between things. So you cross the threshold when you do the ritual. Reminds me of when like the groom puts the door, like passes the bride through the door, like you're crossing a threshold into a new life. It's a traditional ritual. And I kind of got lost in a couple of places in here. I think it was because I was just probably under-analyzing. But when it's talking about the tribal rituals and how the different types of tribes have different rituals to welcome or to bring or to do whatever into the tribe, and it's another rite of passage that you go through. It reminds me of like the Boy Scouts, where they have rites that you go through with the patches, so you can't go to like there's levels of like the Scouthood. I don't know what they are in the middle, but I know there's Eagle Scout at the top. And so, talking about the dialectic development of the cycle, that reminded me of when you were talking about the dialogic engagement. And I can never remember the actual definition of it, but I know it's a process, because everything is a process. So, yes. When I read the Kafwana, his little homily, however you say that, I read it, and it sounded to me like he was like preaching, like it was very preacher-ish, and reminded me of how some people that have preached at my church did their sermons, because it was a very like, you must do this, this is what it is, this, we have granted you this, do not prepare with this. Very, very preachy. And again, it's comparing the tribes and their rituals and the comparing contrasting, and then it goes into like Christianity and our rituals, like our baptism rituals. I know in our church, the church rituals for us is we do it every Sunday. It's the same flow. There's opening prayer. You sing like 3 or 4 songs. You sit down. There's some kind of announcement for the church, whether that be like baptisms or baby dedications or whatever. The next 20 minutes or that. Then there's more standing and singing up and down for pretty good, but I think we got like 8 songs. And then we finally sit down for the offering prayer, where people have dedicated a song to God, and it's either the choir singing it or it's a person, and then they're passing the offering plate and you put like your money in it. And then like all the deacons come down, they start at the back, they go to the top, and it's a very uniformed kind of, this is how we do it. And then somebody counts the money and stuff like that. And then after the end offering prayer, we have the preacher, and then we have the opening prayer to the sermon. Then he does his little talkie, and we have his closing prayer, which is his come to the altar, come accept God. And if you accept God, then there's like an additional rituals after he ends the service. But if no one comes up and accepts God that day, he leaves us with a blessing or like a quote from Proverbs, and then we leave. And so, I mean, I like that Christianity is tied into some things without being like belittled. I cannot stand anybody's religion being belittled whatsoever, no matter what people's religion is, no matter, there's good and bad parts to all religions. So yes. Or the baptism ceremonies, that's a major ritual in Christianity, and in at least with Baptist. I'm Southern Baptist, so that is a pretty big tie with me right there. I don't know, my book won't fully close. I think it stiffens to the point with all this coffee on it. So yes. So the performance and other analogies, because everything's an analogy apparently. I like when it's talking about like cultural performances, and there's different types of cultural performance, and then it has like performance theory signals strong dissatisfaction with traditional categories brought to study of the ritual. And so, cultural studies. I like what Grimes says, the argument of the human body, or argues the primacy of the human body. So that reminded me of like the Comp's answer. With like, it's a process, it's the physical embodiment act of doing, and focusing on the act of doing rather than the final product. And again, that goes into devising. And so it's like, first people think their culture is encapsulated, it's got the quiet performance, discrete performances. Then they constitute the outside observer, there's more concrete evidence. And then performances are specifically particular manifestations. And I think that's funny because if you watch like American Horror Story Coven, so it's like season 3 is Coven, you have Angela Baskin. She is Marie Laveau. She's this really powerful voodoo queen, and she's manifesting, I don't remember exactly what she's manifesting, but she's manifesting this being to be cursed, to like bring this curse to this rival coven. And she does this ritual with like the Macbeth, the Eye of Newton, tongue of frog kind of thing, and makes the little pentagram. It's a physical process of this, and she goes into the whatever tongue it's spoken in. And so that when it's talking about manifestations, that really brought that back, because we manifest, people are always saying like nowadays, like just manifest it. Like, what are we manifesting? Manifest good thoughts, manifest this to happen. What are we manifesting? So yes. So performance is given by academic participants. I mean, yeah, that's kind of there. And then it's talking about, I'm gonna move to social drama. And social drama are embodied rituals, and that made me think, like, if it's social drama and we're talking about like Twitter drama or office drama, is it drama in the sense that of the social context? Of, as in the social part of like, I talk, you talk, we best friends, we besties, no, you kissed my boyfriend, now I'm not your friend no more, kind of social drama? Because if social drama is rituals, I mean, you can't get away from drama. You can choose to be a part of it or not, but I think like drama follows everybody, and I think it's a ritual that we all participate in, whether we mean to or not. And it's going back of how Gluckman, Turner, one of the two, is emphasizing the formalization of rituals having a distancing effect. And I mean, that can be true because depending on what rituals you are a part of, that you're going to create that conflict or distance between people. We have all of these different political groups on campus, and they have their own rituals on how they do their stuff, and others too, and there's always going to be a conflict of it. And it's saying that, when it's talking about another, the social conditions thing is doing, that's another, like, tying back to the comp's little answer, that if it's the process of doing and saying is doing, we're always doing rituals, no matter if we consider them rituals or not. Like me opening this is a ritual that everybody can participate in, but everybody closes theirs. Mine's erasable, so I can erase if I mess up, or most people, they just kind of go with the flow. Then there's Timbia distinguishes 3 ways in which rituals performance. It involves doing things, its stage uses multiple media outlet and participants, and then it involves indexual values and sense. So, yeah. When I'm talking about in the Bell book with rituals, because I kind of like honed in on the rituals part of this, and performing like social roles. But if you have like cultural rituals, it's always going to be a part of it. And this little thing reminded me of what you did in 2060 the other day with the persona speaker model. The rituals, it sums it up on like 128. The characteristics of rituals. Rituals are communal, traditional, and rooted in beliefs. So you have to have people to do a ritual, or at least share some form of ritual in belief. But then you can also have a ritual indivisibly, but you're doing like that. And so, so the ritual that I really liked in this chapter, I think it's with a Saint Orla ritual. I liked that one. And I'm looking at characteristics of a ritual, and it's talking about of self-directed violence. And I know it's talking about the surgery, but it, in a sense, is self-harm performance. Because because technically, by having people cut into her body as a form of cosmetic, she's harming her body she's self-harming herself. But in a cosmetic way, and I think it's funny, we think in cosmetic ways that people that just want to have plastic surgery to have plastic surgery because they're not happy with their boobs or their butt or their nose. That's a form of self-harm that's accepted by society. In the sense that this kind of self-harm is not accepted by society. That, like, you're crazy, you are, like, should be in a mental institution, but yet it's okay if you're paying a doctor, if, like, you are giving money to get self-harmed. It's still self-harm whether you do it yourself or you pay somebody to do it. You're still delivering the act of it. So, yeah, like, cosmetic surgery, like, society accepted self-harm. And when it's going in, like, the videos of her surgery, that kind of reminded me of, like, there's a thing on this TikTok where it's like this reel, and they do like countdowns till their surgery days, or people Instagram their surgery days. But at what point is that medically ethical? Because you can have people not get it, be ethical. It could be anything can offend a person. It's gonna offend somebody regardless. But on the medical side, whether the doctors have like signed a consent form or what, the doctors still have to be careful, because if they mess up during surgery, then they're liable for it, even though she just paid them to harm her. Like, no. So, like, what are the ethical implications of, like, society accepted self-harm? Because that's how I'm, like, seeing this. Because if you have cosmetic surgery for your own personal gain, you are self-harming yourself, because you're going to deal with the scars, you're going to deal with the backlash. But if it has to be, like, medical, like, if you shatter your nose and need, like, facial reconstruction, or you blow up your hand with a firecracker and have to have plastic surgery for that, that's understandable. Like, your body needs it to survive. Your body doesn't need you to have bigger boob implications that can pop and seep silicone into your boobs and then die. Like, when talking like the world like water and water, for some reason I got like the Pocahontas, like never step in the same river twice, and then Colors of the Wind started playing in my head. Like, you never can do the same performance twice, no matter how many times you execute it. Something different gonna be happening every time. And this goes back where it's talking about the primacy of the body, how it's like embedded, it's embodied of what you're doing. Rituals are gonna be in you no matter what. It's gonna be dark, it's gonna be light. There's always gonna be a distinction between good and bad. And how your body with this performance is a site of public memory. Like, they're gonna remember your body. I don't remember I always forget this woman's name, but she did this art piece with like the strings hanging down, and she wouldn't let her manager step in. The only time the manager stepped in was when somebody had a gun cocked to her face and was gonna shoot her in the head, but they let her cut her and stuff like that. And so the body is a site of public memory and a site of public advocacy in that way. I'm trying to like get back in my comms brain to not overanalyze this, but yeah, and I made like a cultural connection when it's talking about, and not a cultural, as pop culture reference, my bad, an autopsied corpse that continues to speak as if detached from the body. It reminded me of Ducky and Palmer from NCIS. Like, they're both medical examiners, and Ducky's always talking about how they're not done telling their story until they say they're done telling their story. So he's autopsying their bodies, he's taking about what killed them, and he's talking to them like they're a person, like, I need you to tell me your story. Like, what is this story? And so it does that. So that was like, it really brought me back to that. And then I just liked the little poem, whatever her little, I thought of it as a poem. The few images force us to close our eyes: death, suffering, the opening of the body. Here the eyes become black holes, which the image is absorbed willingly or by force. These images plunge in and strike directly where it hurts without passing through the habitual filters, as if the eyes no longer had any connection with the brain. Like, just kind of, to me, emphasizes how your mind can be the soul. Okay, I'm gonna like wrap up with Belle. So Belle, and wrap up with social roles. And not gonna lie, this is kind of creepy. I mean, like, that. Social roles remind me of, again, I'm gonna keep going back to 2060. It reminded me of 2060 when you're talking about the beginning of the everyday life performance and what roles you interchange throughout what day. You have the different characteristics of your roles. You have informers, you have shills, you have inspectors, go-betweens, and the non-person. You have all these different roles that a person flips in and out every single day. Like, as soon as I leave here, I'm gonna flip into the role of daughter because I want to go talk to my parents. Or I'm gonna flip into the role of pilot later when I go fly. But on Monday, I'm gonna flip back into the role, at least for the beginning part, as teacher, and then the end of the day as student. And so you're habitually changing in and out of these roles. In roles, you have stigmas, like different types of stigmas. You have physical deformities, negative personality, and just tribal stigmas that are based around race. I'm trying not to get so 2060 with this, because I know I need to get deeper. But you perform through different stigmas. You perform those roles through different stigmas. Like, I have like my shirt on underneath this, and if I took this off, I got called a frat boy like twice from a social stigma that girls that wear more masculine clothes are automatically gonna be like tomboys or lesbians or whatever you want to call it. Like, social stigma, nope. And so, I mean, yeah, I'd rather go back and talk about this, but I really did like St. Orla's piece. That was very, to me, connected as a performer, since I choose to do types of violent acts towards my body when I perform. Whether, like, as last Tuesday, I was snorting a lemonade mix through one of these sour straws, and that hurt, but it had a really cool concept. I was eating coffee grounds and pudding, and I regretted that ever since. But yeah, so that's my video.